Thanks for inviting us. Thank you for inviting us into your home. One more time, the American Dream Show from Gurney's Inn in beautiful Montauk, overlooking the ocean. My guest today is a woman who wrote an American dream story. And her name, she lives in Sag Harbor, and her name is Wafa. Wafa, thank you for being on my show today.
Thank you for inviting me, Ingrid.
Thank you. Actually, her name is Wafa Faith Hallam.
Correct.
Now, Wafa actually means faith.
That's right.
So, Faith became your middle name.
Yes.
And your full name is now Wafa Faith Hallam.
That's
Am
right.
I pronouncing that correctly?
You are.
You have a charming, barely there accent, if I may say so. You can almost not grab it, but there is a little bit of an accent. Yeah.
A little bit of a French accent, I think.
Is that what it is? It sounds very neat, very sexy, as a matter of fact. I didn't say that. I'm allowed to say that in front of the camera? Yes, right? Okay. All right. Wafa wrote the book, The Road from Morocco. Now, for those who have read it, you guys know already that this book is going to be a film. And it is definitely not only worth reading, but it is, shall we say, it's a message of, it's combining, bringing together worlds.
Yes.
That's what that book is really doing. And these are my own words. Yes.
Yes.
Wafa, The Road from Morocco is basically your family story.
Yes.
So it's the story about starting with your mother, because you're writing about your mother.
Yes.
So basically, I can sit back and you tell me your life story. Don't give it all away, because obviously we still want people to buy the book.
Right.
But please.
It started with wanting to write my mother's story. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, it happened the night that I had just watched Volver, mm-hmm. the movie by mm-hmm. Almodovar, mm-hmm. starring mm-hmm. Penelope Cruz, and I kept. It stirred so many things in me, and by the end of the movie, I was crying hysterically. Mm-hmm. And for
what is Volver about for those who haven't seen it? Just in one sentence.
Yes. It's about a mother who is presumed dead, mm-hmm. and her daughter, who also has a younger child, has also a sister, exactly the same family configuration as mine, a sister and a daughter, and a mother that passed away, and the things that bring them, her returns of some sort. It's a convoluted story, but it's an amazingly funny and tender and compassionate and really a wonderful story. In any case, by the end of the movie, I was crying hysterically, and I had this unbelievable desire mm-hmm. to tell my mother's story. Mm-hmm. And all my life, I had heard my mother say that she wanted to tell her story because she had been married at age 13 against her will to a much older man, and she felt that...
Now, guys, did you all get this? Her mother was married with the age of 13.
Yes. Against her will.
Okay, that's something what we actually, oh God, that's against the law in many, many countries.
Oh, it was against the law even in Morocco.
Okay.
They actually had to change her birth certificate date,
mm-hmm.
to have
But when
her
she was married, who married her off? Wasn't
her
that
parents?
Means these are your grandparents.
My grandparents, and they were not bad people at all. They, her father had cancer,
yeah,
and she was the youngest daughter,
yeah,
and he just felt that it was important for her to be settled, married before he passes away, because he just knew.
So it was basically, they thought it's the best for her.
Yes.
They were terrified what would happen to her.
Yes.
Aww.
Yes. It was really, and she adored her parents. She never blamed them for it.
Yeah.
Never blamed them for having married her. In fact, very early on, as soon as by the time I was born, her father had told her to leave her husband, and my father said, no, if you want to leave, good, but I'll keep the child, and
right.
that was something she was not ready to do.
Right, right.
So she stayed and had more children.
How many children did she have?
She had 4 children.
4 children.
I have 3 siblings, and but she fought. As terrible as the experience of being married to him was.
In what way was it terrible? Was he abusive? Was it just because she did not belong there? She wasn't the right person?
That is a great question, you know, and I'm rarely asked that question. It's interesting. People just assume because, well, she was, you know, her wedding night was basically a rape, you know. She hated him from that point on. But she hated him before even that, because she knew the family. Her sister was already married to one of his brothers. And she always saw him as just a grumpy old man.
So here is basically my next question. He was an older man.
20 years older, at that time 33, but he looked a lot older than that, and he acted a lot older than that. He was the oldest in the family, so he was kind of the patriarch. His father has passed away, so he was like keeping the, you know, the family together. And he was just not a fun man. He was very religious and very grumpy, complained about everything, and also, he was offering a very traditional life, and my mother came from a family where her brothers lived more the Western way because of the French occupation in Morocco. There were a lot of French people.
Yes, please. So obviously there was, just to straighten out all the historical facts, there was at one point, Morocco was occupied by the French.
That's right. Morocco was occupied for 40 years by the French. And so, yes, Morocco is a very different country that way. We speak French, the schools are in French, but there was no war. When they were sent home, there wasn't a revolution. So we didn't sort of throw away all things French. In fact, the government made a deal with the French that they would keep the schools, they would keep the institutions, and the whole French, you know, code, the Napoleonic code. Yes. So it sort of allowed us to transition from because there weren't enough Moroccans that were ready to take the reign of power after the French left, in truth. And so I was actually put in a French school. My mother decided that she was decisively going to be living the Western lifestyle and not the traditional lifestyle. My father was a very traditional man, so they were locking horns all the time. She wanted to drive, she wanted to play tennis, she wanted to do the things that she saw the European women do. That's what she wanted. And she put her daughters, her kids, in a French school. And that from there on, my father was the outsider.
But you love your father.
I love my father. I loved him, and I love my father. He's still alive. He was a very gentle man. He was just a sad, grumpy, you know, complaining whiner.
Older than she was, man, by no means an old man.
Yes, no.
But an older man, considering that she was 13.
Right. And the truth, he was complaining and whining because she hated him, and she made his life miserable. And so, you know, and she did everything he didn't want her to do, and she still did them. And so his life was not joyful.
And he thought he got this adorable young...
He was madly in love with her.
He was, okay.
Which made things much worse because she was very attractive.
Yeah.
She was extremely beautiful.
I can see that, right? Looking at her, we can see that, right, everybody?
Thank you. She was extremely beautiful and very charming, and people loved her. I mean, everywhere she went, she was... And of course, that did not make my father very happy.
Did she cook? Mom, did she cook?
Yes.
Traditional way, Moroccan food?
Yes, her mother taught her to cook, and she was an amazing cook. She cooked beautiful Moroccan food. If you know anything about Moroccan food, is one of the best in the world.
Well, she could have put some poison into his food.
She could have.
She could have, but she didn't. Wafa Faith Hallam lives in Sag Harbor.
That's right.
Which is relatively close to Montauk. I think it's about 20 minutes drive from...
about 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, and we are having her here in Montauk overlooking the ocean right now. For you guys, we are taking a break. Please stay with us, and we shall return after these messages.
You can't put a price on true love, but in the end, every little girl has a dream. And though over time the details may change, one thing still remains the same: the feeling she gets walking down that aisle. Come experience your dream at Gurney's Inn in Montauk.
There's an art to creating the perfect kitchen or bath. It's the art of making a statement without saying a word. The art of discovering a faucet that turns you on. Of finding products that are eco-friendly and product experts who are just plain friendly. It's the art of being sure that everything you buy will work together. Visit the Green Art showroom for quality brands such as Growy. Green Art, the art of one-stop shopping and non-stop service for beautiful Growy kitchen and bath products.
Check out our new Southampton showroom.
Thank you so much for staying with me and Ms. Wafa Hallam, the author of The Road from Morocco. These are actual camels here.
Yes.
So the story gets more interesting by the moment. Ms. Wafa is telling in this book the story of her family heritage, and how it all came about, and how she became this American dream woman that is sitting right here in front of me in Montauk. And Miss Wafa, please continue.
That's a photo of my mom actually on the front.
That's her?
Yes.
Beautiful woman. Yes, no wonder he was in love with her. Yes, well, we can tell. Yeah, there is definitely a big resemblance between you.
People think it's my photo. It's interesting.
Yes,
yes. But yeah, eventually we came to America, and I think the most.
Come on, don't give me just eventually we came to America. Come on, there must have the road. She for years, she lived 20 years. She was married for 20 years to my dad, and 20 years. So she got married, was 13. She was 33 at this point.
Right, and she succeeded in getting a divorce and keeping her children.
Oh wow! But that must be unusual.
Very unusual, because everybody knows that in Islamic law does not allow women to ask for a divorce, which is true. However, it also provides, and that a lot of people don't know, that Islamic law provides for a woman to be divorced if her husband abandons her or doesn't provide for her and her children. And he didn't really abandon her. He went on a job hunt and he disappeared for 3 months. Again, they were fighting all the time. He was gone for about 3 months, and she went to see a lawyer.
I see. She took her chance. Okay.
She absolutely did. Yeah. And she kept very quiet and everything until, not calling him, not making any waves, until she actually got her divorce, and he was shocked. He was absolutely shocked and miserable and distraught. But she gained her divorce, and that was a totally new life for her. I mean, we were now in the big city. We were teenagers, and from then on, our lives changed completely.
Yes. Well, was your father still supporting you?
No.
No. So that means mom had to support now her 4 children.
Right.
Boy.
Luckily, she has brothers, older brothers, and one of them in particular who, at first she opened a salon. She went to hairdressing school. She became a hairdresser. My mother, as I said, did everything that my father didn't want her to do, and she was preparing for her independence. She had, learned to drive, learned, the art. She went to the L'Oreal School of Hairdressing, and she opened a salon, and she started, supporting us that way. But she was now a divorced mother, a woman with children, and her brothers, as Westernized as they were, they didn't see it very well that she would be so free, and she started dating, and so they made her. She actually, one of them offered to support her, to give up her salon, and unfortunately,
so that was something they definitely didn't agree with.
Right.
Does it have something to do with the culture?
It has everything to do with the culture. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Her independence was just a no-no for them. Yeah. And she made a big mistake to actually say yes and take the easy way out. Okay. It was.
Your uncles probably can't stand you, and you're independent.
They actually do. They do. Because it was just another time. It was another time, and they were